My question is, how is this like and unlike similar sorts of things from the ancient world? The attacks on September 11th were similar to the attacks that have taken place in the ancient world. In both cases, people were trying to carry out acts of violence in fear of their God and in hope to please their God. In many events in ancient times, entire cities were wiped out by armed forces because they believed that they were acting out on what the Lord wanted them to do. On September 11th, the terrorists who committed a suicide attack on the United States believed that they were making a sacrifice to their own God as well. The temple represented holiness in the ancient world, and it was the center of religion. The World Trade Centers were symbolic of America's capitalist economy. Both were targeted due to their significance in the culture in that time and location. The temple was a holy place for people of Jerusalem. The World Trade Center was a business place for some people working with the American economy. The temple and the World Trade Center were also both symbolic of power. The temple represented the power of the Lord and the religion and society. The Twin Towers represented the power of America's economy and capitalism in our own nation. The attacks on both structures attempted a destruction of what they stood for. The destructions of these two structures were an attempt to disgrace the ideas and beliefs of the opposing culture. In an attempt to disgrace the opposing culture, complete destruction took place in both cases. The temple was destroyed to the point where it had to be rebuilt. The Twin Towers fell to the ground. An attempted destruction of a culture is represented through a complete destruction of a significant structure. Both the temple and the World Trade Centers represented greed in some way. The temple represented in Jeremiah as a den of robbers. This refers to the suspicion of fraud and greediness in the temple. The terrorists and Al Qaeda believe that Americans are greedy and that the government has capitalistic policies. The destruction of the temple was different than the attack on the World Trade Centers because of the effect that it had on people. The temple was a holy place for many religions in ancient society, so it disheartened the people. Although the World Trade Center was an important structure, Americans were more affected by the people lost in the attack than in the destruction of the towers itself.
What role did symbolism play in America's response? A fundamental part of American culture and life, sports did not continue as usual following the September 11th terrorist attacks. The National Football League postponed their games for a week. This also caused the Super Bowl to be pushed back later in the year. For the first time in recent history, the golf championships were canceled for a cause other than poor weather. Because of the cancellation, the purse money was donated to a charity that year. Minor League Baseball games were also greatly affected. The championship games were canceled because of the national tragedy. In order to end the season, winners were declared even without all of the games being played. If a team was already in the league, they were simply declared the winner. For games which were scheduled but not played yet, the two teams were simply declared co-champions. While a short pause was necessary, it was important that everyday life continue for Americans, including the sports they enjoyed. All Major League Baseball games were postponed for 6 days. This caused the entire season to be delayed, including the World Series. The World Series was especially significant that year because of the attacks. President Bush was invited to throw out the first pitch. The New York Yankees confirmed that this World Series would be a meaningful one when they won in New York City. This video shows how both President Bush and America took comfort in baseball following the September 11th attacks. Following the September 11th attacks, great care was taken to shield American children from the horrors shown repeatedly upon the television screens every day. First Lady Laura Bush wrote letters to both elementary and high school students. The elementary school students received a letter which encouraged drawing pictures to express feelings, doing nice things for others, and speaking to adults when frightening things happened. High school students were also encouraged to speak to parents or high school counselors. However, the resilience of America was also a main focus of the First Lady in this letter. Laura Bush said, "As we mourn those who died, let us remember that as Americans, we can be proud and confident that we live in a country that symbolizes freedom and opportunity to millions throughout the world." Patriotism became quite popular following the attacks. American flags spiked in popularity after September 11th. Following the attacks, 74%, or 213 million Americans, said that they flew the flag in their car or home. 1 in 12, or 18 million people, reportedly felt pressured to purchase a flag so they would not be deemed unpatriotic. 86% of Republicans, 72% of Democrats, and 64% of independents flew the flag. American flags soon became the target of thieves as well. When the flag was stolen from Public School 84 in Buffalo, Congressman Jack Quinn brought the school a flag which had flown over the Capitol building to replace it. Many prominent Americans became so swept up that they made some comments which later needed to be reworked to avoid major conflicts. President Bush said on September 16, 2001, "This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while." Lieutenant General William G. Boykin, the United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, said, he, Osman Otto, went on CNN and he laughed at us. And he said, "They'll never get me because Allah will protect me. Allah will protect me." Well, you know what? I knew my God was bigger than his. I knew that my God was a real God and his was an idol. Following the September 11th attacks, it was very important to many people to show a united front, especially with the Islamic community of the United States. Fearful of backlash against Muslims because of the terrorists, many people of other religions rallied together with their Muslim neighbors. There is now an annual Interfaith 9/11 Unity Walk, which included a prayer service and a Ramadan dinner.